Yeah, I want to do a few more laps, Rusty. You're absolutely right. Well, does this look familiar? It does to me. The two PRA, Pepsi Max crew cars on the front row. Mark Winterbottom wasn't so happy yesterday with his performance. He struggled in practice to match his teammate, but he is in a position that he's been in many times before. The drag race between these two, down to turn one, I think is going to dictate who wins the race. So far, Mark Winterbottom has been the stronger one.
Scott Pye in his interview talked about Red Bull Racing having a pole position. Craig Lowndes has it for the next event, the next race coming up this afternoon. But it's all about race 18 that we're concentrating on here at present.
Green flag for
20 laps to come. Here's the Fuso starting grid for the first of 3 races this weekend at QR. Chaz Mostert and his teammate Mark Winterbottom lock out the front row. Tremendous performance, a career best by Andre Heimgartner. Positive stuff for McLaughlin again. Lowndes, Van Gisbergen, the third row. Awesome effort. James Moffat, with that rear wing problem in practice, bounces back here. Scott Pye as well. We know they've got pace. So too David Reynolds, very much a championship player. He's become a factor in recent rounds. Ash Walsh out qualifying Will Davison for the first time since the Clipsal 500. How much will this hurt Fabian Coulthard? He's third in the championship, but he's mid-pack for this one. Nick Percat, exhaust issues in the repair management Commodore this morning. They got it fixed. Lee Holdsworth for Charlie Schwerkolt's operation. Then Dale Wood alongside Todd Kelly, who's been very fast here, but had a drama in the first qualifying session. Watch for him in the second race today on those soft tyres. And Jason Bright also ran off in the qualifying session. He's had a mixed weekend so far. He feels like the Team BOC Commodore is an overall good package, but when they were trying to get a quick lap out of it yesterday, they were so lean on fuel at the critical moment, the car started to cough. So 7 pole positions, $7 grand in Armour All cash has gone the way of Chaz Mostert so far this season. Lots of you have talked in social media about the dominance of those pro-drive cars. What's it down to? Is it down to aerodynamics? Some have argued about the shock absorbers they run. It's a multitude of things, and all of them. Look at the way Heimgartner is going. I mean, that just underscores how good the overall package is.
9/10 of a second covers 23 of 25 cars on the grid. 4/10 of a second covers the top 10. Very easy to make a tiny mistake in either your driving or in your engineering setup of the race car to find yourself a 10th or 2 or 4, as the case may be, to be away from the money. Clearly, ProDrive found an edge. They've got consistency in their cars at the moment. They've got them working through street circuits, on fast open racetracks, on places where brakes are a requirement, and everything in between.
3, 2, 1, and stop there, mate. You're about. Oh, you can go forward a little bit more. You're still a bit too far back. Go back a bit more. Go forward a bit more.
He's happy. Chris O'Toole just coaching Chaz Mostert into position. You can see him looking across to the left. Teammate Mark Winterbottom closest to camera. Road 2 of the grid, Andre Heimgartner, pressure on him. Dirty side of the road, though, for him. Scott McLaughlin on the clean side of the road, position number 4.
30, 20, 10. Slow it up, about 2 metres. A little bit more.
You might get cleaner road on the outside, but you've got to round up the tin that's on the inside, and that can be tricky. So sometimes still handy to be on the inside here, regardless of the dirty side of the track.
First of 2 races here. Second one coming up at 4:30 local. Queensland, it's live. This is the Coates Hire Ipswich SuperSprint. First of 3 races is go for the weekend. Has Frosty got the jump on his teammate? They run down to 1 for the first time, and the Volvo has in fact moved into second position. Great job by Scott McLaughlin. Look at the way that Van Gisbergen is hustling here too, fighting with Andre Heimgartner as they work through turn 2. Someone's off. It's Todd Kelly in the Jayco Altima. But as they run down, the fast-starting Mark Winterbottom has them. And look at Mostert here, getting it back on McLaughlin.
McLaughlin must have run a little wide through 2, and it's left a gap for Chaz to go back up the inside. Van Gisbergen, a beautiful start as well. He quickly jumped into gear and got away cleanly. Todd Kelly at the back of the pack after an off.
McLaughlin
looking for the crisscross. meantime, Winterbottom's just bolted down the road. That's the gap that he'll be very pleased with. When he comes out of turn 6 and has a little look in that rear view mirror, he will be very relieved. Look at Van Gisbergen, racy and a little crossed up. He makes contact. Can't really afford to go by with a bump and run, or he might cop a penalty. He might need to redress that one.
It's a long way to go.
It'll depend on whether there's also an oil flag showing down there at the moment. That'll be for the dust and dirt that Todd Kelly brought on. It'll depend on whether or not Shane thinks he was crossed up before he got there as they argue that one out. That one will be a line ball called. Pressure on race control. It's on again, though, down the back straight. Here comes Mozzie on the inside. Heimgartner's in for the bye as well. And Lowndes watching, looking around the outside goes Van Gisbergen. It's on, nose to tail, bump and grind. Lowndes is all crossed up. Courtney's in here too, and Reynolds. Courtney will prevail. Off the road, though, for Mostert. Had 2 in the dirt that time as Van Gisbergen clears him.
Was there some bodywork or something that came off Mostert's car there? Look at the damage to Jason Bright's Team BOC Commodore. Slammed the front end, all pushed back toward that windshield. We go back to David Reynolds, who's ahead now of Andre Heimgartner. One of the Nissans coming through here. It's the 99 of Moffat. Pye trying to run with him. It is on here at Queensland Raceway. Windcup's in the mix, Slade's in the mix, and the Freightliner entry of Coulthard there too.
Tim Slade, Super Cheap Auto Racer, car 47, the meat in the sandwich, Pye on the inside, Coulthard on the outside. These guys are operating on instinct at the moment. Coulthard crisscross down the inside and grabs him. Heimgartner off the road, the Super Black entry. There's no time to plot and plan. You've just got to try and make moves based on instinct. Winterbottom's got a margin of 2 seconds over McLaughlin.
He has bolted, hasn't he? And again, putting together fast sectors. Winterbottom's going on with it. Windcup keeping the pressure on a line of cars here, headed by James Moffat, who's currently in 8th position. Little bit of breathing space for David Reynolds, ahead of him in 7th.
Heimgartner and Tander are at it here at the moment. We go on board with the young Kiwis down the inside at 4. He's still grinding down the inside of Tander's car. Tit for tat on the way down there. Winterbottom, McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen, Mostert.
Use your strength, focus on your exits.
Will Davison now having a look down the inside of Tim Slade. Percat behind him. There's the margin, 1st to 2nd.
Nothing's changed between Van Gisbergen and Mostert, despite that bump and run a little bit earlier. The Kiwi holds it. Percat by the 47 now. He moves ahead of Tim Slade. That's for 13th place. And Slade comes back at him. Love that feature of Queensland Raceway. We so often see the crisscross, the comeback. On board with Heimgartner.
He's down in 15th position, having started 3rd. And it just goes to show how vigorous the racing is in that mid-pack. And if you cop a bang and end up out of position and on the wrong side of the freight train, you just tumble, you cascade down the order, and that's what's happened. He's been pushed and shoved every which way.
Again, we're seeing Winterbottom continue to show that speed. It's 2.2 seconds between Winterbottom and McLaughlin. You ride in the 18 ahead of him. He's under pressure here. Here comes Rick Kelly through as well in the midfield, midsection. Now the run down to turn 6.
Let's check out the gaps for you. So Frosty cruising, 2.2 seconds. McLaughlin's got some air as well. Van Gisbergen, he's got a very busy pack behind him, followed by Mostert, Lowndes, Courtney, Reynolds, Moffat, Windcup, Pye, Coulthard, Davison, Slade, Percat, Tander, Heimgartner, Holdsworth, Rick Kelly, Caruso, Blanchard, Walsh, Wood, Todd Kelly, David Wall, who's got some damage on the back of that car as well. Jason Bright's in the pit lane, as you saw, with all that damage on the snout. The Team BOC car. He was last on the grid after the big lock-up in qualifying, Jason Bright. Start replay. And it was a perfect start for Mark Winterbottom. Great velocity from Scott McLaughlin as well, but he was on the wrong side of the road out there where it gets pretty dirty pretty quick. And early in the race there you see Heimgartner up the front end, and then as the first few laps unfolded, he just ended up in the wrong space at the wrong time, and there is Todd Kelly going around And it looks like that was Jason Bright that made contact with him. Just looking to the right-hand side of that picture at the moment. Yeah, so actually, I think Bright was a victim who was further down the order, and then they all did the concertina trick. Look at this stuff going on here between Mostert, who nailed the styrene sign, and Van Gisbergen. That was actually an easy one for Shane. There's more stuff here on board with David Reynolds out of 3.
That was from Mostert when he went through. I wondered if it was body work. Here's the damage to the BOC Commodore, and just to Neil's point there, I think there may have been something involving Dale Wood ahead of Bright's car, and when that's unfolded, it's had a bit of a concertina. He's had nowhere to go, so what a shame for Bright.
Geez, tough start to that race. I want to make sure that you're okay, and it looked from the replays like you were just an innocent victim.
Well, I'm not sure what happened up in front. I saw Todd going off to the left, and Wally just seemed to hit the brakes, unexpectedly. I sort of thought we were all through on the inside there, and yeah, it's done a fair bit of damage. The guys are going to have the work cut out to get it out this afternoon.
Bad luck, Jason.
Pretty disappointing for him. He had a monster lockup in qualifying and went off the road. That was the reason why he was last. And on the way back to the commentary box from the grid walk, quick chat to him. There's David Wall's car, which I mentioned had some damage at the rear, and the apron under the rear bumper's all torn, as is the front left corner of the car as well. And he said the cunning plan strategically from here is to pick off 2 cars per lap for 20 laps, and I'll be looking like a genius, but that hasn't worked out.
Other standout was how good Van Gisbergen was at the outset of the race on cold tyres. That damaged car of David Wall, the 34, is back in the lane. We jump aboard the 888. Craig Lowndes running in 5th position now, chasing Mostert. Van Gisbergen up the road ahead of them.
So this is all profit for Mark Winterbottom. This opens the margin to Craig Lowndes as they sit at the moment. A lot of racing to come from this trio, though, when you look how close they are at present. And Gisbergen, Mostert and Lowndes, and the Volvos come in to try and deal with that. In fact, there was a mechanical flag out there before to deal with that torn front left guard. Unfortunately, Chaz Mostert mentioning in that interview that he hasn't been leaping off the line too well, and it's come to fruition. He didn't get away cleanly enough. Basically, lost all the ground that made the difference right in the first couple of 100 metres of the race, and then it got involved in that vigorous battle, and all the battling allowed Mark Winterbottom to just vanish down the road.
That's been a key of Frosty's performance in maybe the last 5 or 6 rounds. He's been a demon starter, and that's had a huge impact on the result of the races. Just got it on today, didn't he?
Got it sussed. And you go through phases. Sometimes all the drivers will talk about this, that sometimes there's just an innate understanding of how to launch the car, get it away from 0 to 100 cleanly in the high to mid 3-second range. And then there's other times where it just completely eludes you, and you duff the start, and it just makes for very difficult and long afternoons.
Hey guys, I just catching up with Tim Edwards. He's just having a conversation with Chris O'Toole about some of that contact that Chaz had with Van Gisbergen there. He was a bit of pushing and shoving there for a little bit, Tim.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I was out on the pit wall, so I didn't see it closely, but from what Tooley's telling me on the replay, it showed that Gizzy kind of shoved him off at turn 3. So anyway, we'll let Barks have a look at it.
Hey, Mark Winterbottom, he has got those starts absolutely down pat, and it really is setting up his championship, that first run to the first corner.
Yeah, look, to be honest, he's always been a great starter, and, when we didn't have a great qualifying last year, several times you saw him gain, 5, 6, 7 positions in the first lap. So, he's a master at starting, and Chaz is trying to learn off him.
Yeah, he's an absolute master. Here's a bit of a replay now. See Giz giving a rub across the back there. That was after Chaz had already repassed him, and it's gathered a little bit of foam in the front. So we're looking at the temperatures there on your screen. He's got a bit of a water temp. It's not too bad at the moment. Hopefully it won't become any more of an issue.
Yeah, she's a little bit high, but that could be just because he's so close behind Shane at the moment. So anyway, it's hard to tell looking at that. I'm sure Bargs will have a view.
I'm sure he will.
Thanks, mate.
It's one for reflection at the end of the race. David Wall incidentally has come back into pit lane with the damage causing further trouble on that Volvo at the moment. So 2.4 seconds is the gap between Winterbottom and McLaughlin. There they are on the run down to turn 1. And Gisbergen in 3rd, just easing that margin out ever so gently. been seesawing a little bit. Lowndes is just the watching brief. There's Courtney and Reynolds, Moffat, Whincup, Pye, Coulthard. So Fabian's actually wrestled a couple of spots out of all this. He started 15th. Remember, he's a reasonable championship contender at the moment. Came in this weekend in 3rd position. We're riding now with Davey Reynolds. He's 7th. And David qualified in 10th. And Will Davison talking about having big understeer in car number 9, the Erebus entry at the moment, through turn 4 and 5 in particular, is really struggling.
Spoke to Ben Croak from Erebus Motorsport earlier today. He said that Will had great speed on the softer rubber. This is a hard tyre race though, and his teammate Ash Walsh, who did a rookie test here in the past 10 days or so, has been strong on the harder rubber. So we look at those Erebus guys at the moment. Will Davison is in 12th position in car 9.
Dealing with fairly high track temps at the moment too. We're seeing 35 on track, 27 degrees air temperature. It's a gorgeous day, but it's making it pretty slippery out there at the moment. So looking at lap speed, best of the race so far, 1 minute 10.8 for Mark Winterbottom. His last lap was a 1 minute 11.0, so good flat consistency there.
It's not much, but it did look like Lowndes had the measure of Mostert in terms of lap time by a 10th last time by. So is Lowndes starting to become a factor? He closes here at turn 3 under braking. Look at that great shot from the onboard. The Red Bull Racing Commodore hounding, monstering the Falcon. Gets good drive though, Mostert out of that turn.
And the trouble if you're Chaz Mostert at the moment is that you're going to have to do battle in both directions. Problem for Scott Pye, there's smoke pouring out of car 17 here as well on the run to turn 4. Big problem with that car. So rounded up there by Coulthard.
Everyone's way.
You could definitely see some fluid of some kind coming out near those front wheels. And
We've still got all pressure, Scotty. We've still got all pressure. You can bring it in if you can make it back.
So they're seeing that on telemetry. So that's always the concern.
Yeah, coffee.
That's what happened to James Courtney
What do you think then?
they dropped that oil line earlier in the day.
Straight in the garage. Something's gone wrong.
So here's the replay. So something's popped off.
So we're not sure. Do you want me to keep driving it? Yeah, bring it in.
Yeah, I caught sight of it outside the commentary box window, and definitely got to be brought into the lane, that one, Murph.
Yeah, guys, it's definitely dropping quite a lot of fluid on the road. He was in a big oversteer moment when that smoke started to come out, so it's dropping some stuff on the back wheels. And then I saw, I think it was Tim Blanchard nearly go off the road too afterwards. So it could be interesting this lap, or the next couple of laps down at turn 4-5 for the guys turning up there blind.
Just as you were finishing then too, Greg, Shane Van Gisbergen just had a big mid-corner correction through turn 4. So he's got Mostert still behind, followed by Lowndes. That gap seesawing a little bit.
That mid-corner correction, maybe the fluid from...
Yeah, I think that's what it will be, because that's where we saw most of it being dropped by, see the big understeer in the middle of the corner. So, and then he had to grab it on the outside. So that's right where Scott Pye was throwing lots of oil down. So they're all treading gently over there when those conditions prevail. Percat, he's in 13th position behind Tim Slade and just in front there of Tander. And there is Andre Heimgartner, 15th still.
Paul Radicic, Andre Heimgartner, sensational job in qualifying this morning, P3.
Yeah, it sure was. You know, the kid's got great speed. As we've seen in the race, he's getting beaten up pretty hard. But, hey, these guys are the best drivers in the world. You know, they've been in, they know their cars, they know this team, they know everything. So, mate, he's doing real well. We've got to go through this process to get there. But, you know, what encourages me is he's got great speed to qualify third. Just awesome. Yeah.
It all comes with experience, and that's what he'll get in every event.
Well, there's not many guys that come in for the first year. I think Scott's probably, McLaughlin's the only kid that come in for the first year and really turn things up. So he's doing a great job. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Pleasure.
Just as Rihanna started that conversation with Paul Radicic, Andre was arriving down at turn 2 and had big handfuls of opposite lock, and I don't think that car has translated nearly as well as a race car as it did a quali car for some reason. Have a look at this in replay. Actually, he's carrying the brake a fair bit. He might have just gone in there with too much pace, but that was well wide of the mark. And then when you do that down at turn 2, if you're with our coverage yesterday, I squatted next to a tyre off Craig Lowndes' car and talked about a thing called pickup that you get on your tyres. All the little bits of rubber and junk are accumulated on the warm tyre. And on this track in particular, that becomes a real issue. And you wait till this afternoon when the soft tyre runs, that'll be very evident.
You guys, I just with Scott Pye, he's just climbed out of the car. A really disappointing way to end their race. She was pretty tight out there, a lot of biff and barge, and it's close racing, but yours has ended poorly. There's a lot of oil in the engine bay. Any idea what has actually happened?
I think we're just splitting an oil cooler at the moment, but yeah, just disappointing. We had a pretty decent car there, and we're trying to just save tyres behind Jamie, but it's just disappointing.
I think they call that motor racing.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
Good luck for the next one.
Thank you, cheers.
One of the things that can happen here, particularly on the back of the turn 2 curbing, is if you straddle the curb, you can bottom the car, and sometimes you can actually damage the underbody of the car. Have seen that once or twice over the years here, and that typically becomes a bigger step as the weekend progresses. That may be an issue, or it's ripped an oil line off or whatever. This little battle here, Rusty, is starting to bubble. So slowly but surely we're seeing more images of Shane van Gisbergen with his arms crossed chasing a sliding car, and Chaz Mostert trying to do everything he can to capitalise. They've got strengths and weaknesses, as they always do. So Chaz was a little faster on the run into the corner there, and Shane, by slowing it down a little bit more, was quicker coming off the corner. But this is worth focusing on, this little battle here. Also getting a telling read of the performance and behaviour of Shane's car as well.
The comment about the drop-off on the curbs, that was a feature. One of the points highlighted in the driver's briefing yesterday, a reminder to all competitors that it can happen here. You're watching third place, the fight between Shane van Gisbergen, the Kiwi, Chaz Mostert, our pole sitter, fourth position.
It's the Queensland Raceway Grand Canyon. It gets bigger every year.
Love the look of Lowndes too in the background there. He is right on the hammer, chasing Mostert. Margin is 2.49 seconds.
5 to go, mate. 5 to go.
Between Winterbottom and McLaughlin. And we're in the final quarter of this 20-lap sprint.
So what Chaz will be trying to focus on here is getting this car to sneak through turn 2 good and clean and straight and nice, getting that power on earlier. There is that exit curb at 2 that I spoke about. And if he can come off turn 2 with 1 or 2 kilometres an hour more than Shane, he'll be in with a chance to annoy him down here at 3, and if he can get Shane to overreach on the brake pedal, he might be able to snip him, and that's the ploy. That's what he's trying to do at the moment. Shane's doing a lot of racing mileage at the moment in all kinds of cars. He's extremely race fit and savvy, and he won't be sold a dummy easily. Bit of evidence of on-off the throttle for Mostert in the background, so a little bit of understeer through 5 I should say. You can see that Chaz is able to place the car tighter, more accurately. So Shane's just trying to flow the car as much as he can. Probably doesn't have his ideal balance at the moment. He's trying to make the most of a car that doesn't quite have the pace. Chaz has got a whisker more pace, but he's got to try and find a way past 1.5 tons of Holden Commodore, and that's not going to be simple. Here he is. Oh, he grabbed the throttle, a heartbeat early, Chaz Mostert, and an initial response from the car was it understeered, and then he had to relax it and then go again. I love listening to this stuff. Sweet sound of the V8 Supercars Symphony, and left turn at turn 4 there for Mostert. He's gnawing away. He's able to hit apexes more readily in car number 6 than Shane van Gisbergen, and he's diving at 6, making the brakes very, very hot. He's in the disturbed air, and waiting right behind, if anything goes wrong, is Craig Lowndes, who has the pole for our second race in our coverage later this afternoon.
Past 11 races, 10 of them have been won by Holdens. That's about to change. Winterbottom comfortably leading.
Listen and watch Mostert here at 2. See, Shane doesn't quite have great mid-corner pace, but he's not exciting the car with the throttle. He just he picks the throttle up once and once only and then progresses it. He's under extreme pressure at the moment. He'll just be, oh, a little lock up. There's the moment. That's the moment that Chaz has been waiting for. But he's on the wrong side of the road when they get down to the next left-hander, but he might be able to clear him. Van Gisbergen will not hand this to him on a platter. And he's in an awkward spot. Lowndes will be lurking somewhere here on the left side of the road as well. There he is. He's actually given him a little tag. So Lowndes is there. You don't need to give Craig a second invitation.
Awesome racing. Great stuff. Love the way that Van Gisbergen fought back there. And Lowndes just waiting for something to go wrong. Courtney getting closer as well, and maybe David Reynolds as well.
So this is having the effect of condensing this pack. So that was the little pressure moment that Mostert's been sweating on from Van Gisbergen. Here's the onboard with Craig. Look at this. Mozzie knew he was there and just jammed the Ford Falcon back down the inside at 4. Craig was just as eager to make sure that he threw the Red Bull car down the inside. Neither of them were able to make any effectual move there, and they just have to wait for another 60 seconds for another crack.
Very cool. Gets close again. Chaz Mostert down at 3. They work through the infield now, up toward turns 4 and 5.
But that little telling sign of Shane under duress down there is that extra incentive here for Mostert. Not that he needs it, but he knows that Shane's just slightly weak at the moment, so he's putting on big pressure here for another run down the inside at 6. They're coming off 5. He'll try and just slice down the inside here with a diagonal run to the first apex, and he's in that niggle zone now. See Shane's car sliding, he's niggling, he's pushing and shoving. Remember, there's a bit of return of serve here. It could be on here as they get nose to tail action. Lowndes down the outside, absolutely ready to pounce.
Awesome stuff through the first turn, Van Gisbergen. Can he get back up the inside of Lowndes here? Drag race down the back straight between these guys.
Awkward place to be on the outside there. He's managed to hang on. Look at Van Gisbergen down the inside here. And Mostert could still be in this game. He had to stop and think about which way he wanted to wriggle then. There's absolutely no room between these three guys. They're exchanging paint. It's Lowndes on the outside, Gizzy in the middle, and the Ford Falcon of Chaz Mostert ready to grab a piece of the action as well. On the run now to the left-hander at 4.
We'll stay with this battle, but on the way home is Mark Winterbottom. He is set for another race win. And can you believe it, after such a trying year and to celebrate the 70th birthday of Gary Rogers, this will be the first podium of the year for Scotty McLaughlin. Winterbottom wins again.
That's a really good paint-bill race. Awesome work.
After a brilliant start,
Awesome, buddy. Thank you.
McLaughlin on the podium, and Lowndes will get 3rd. What a terrific battle with those guys.
Yeah, that should be up a little bit that one in, but car was reasonably good.
Nice drive, Mark Winterbottom. He'd be wondering what all the fuss is about. Maximum points, extends the championship lead. Moves on to win number 34 in his career. And it becomes, what, win number 7 for him this year. Well done, Frosty.
First time that he's won 3 races in a row as well since 2008. And first Queensland Raceway win for him since that year as well. This guy will have the pole for the next one, Craig Lowndes, and that's a very handy podium in championship terms. Remember, 2nd in the point standings.
Love the friction between Mostert and Van Gisbergen. I'm sure that aspects of that will get looked at later. So it was on at the beginning of the race and on at the end of the race.
That was awesome.
And then they both got pretty aggressive there on the last lap. When you see them heading to the inside, people getting crossed up, approaching 240 kilometres an hour in the dust on the wrong side of the road, you know it's on.
Hallmark for Mark Winterbottom was the start. He just was lightning off the line and then went on to establish a 4.5-second lead over McLaughlin at the end to take yet another victory and extend to help his points lead in the V8 Supercars Championship. McLaughlin with an important podium more DNFs than anybody else so far this year. They had that breakthrough pole for the season in Townsville. This is this is an important podium for the exciting young Kiwi, the guy who lit up the championship last year, and one of the crowd favourites, Lowndes on the podium after a mega battle with Van Gisbergen and Mostert. The crowd and those in the lane really appreciating that. Great start to the Coates Hire Ipswich Supersprint. Who said a trip to Vegas would slow him down or take his mind off things or take his eye off the ball? Far from it. Doesn't get much better than that in terms of execution. And there'll be plenty to talk about. As Neil said, look forward to seeing what the outcome is, if there is an investigation into Van Gisbergen versus Mostert, and what they may say to each other as well.
Congratulations, Mark Winterbottom. Some may say those starts might just win you the 2015 V8 Supercars Championship. You might wonder what all the action was behind you, but you were streaks out in front.
Yeah, starts are everything, you know, and to get to turn one first, I'll let you dictate the race. And I looked in the mirror and there was guys into each other, so yeah, got clear and the car was pretty good. It's I'm struggling with it though. I feel like I can get a lot more out of it. So hopefully we can tune her up and go again. But any win in this category is awesome. So I'm happy to get another one and reward the boys for a good day.
Well done. You've got another race to do it this afternoon. A trophy to add to the collection from the girls at Dunlop. Scotty McLaughlin, a fantastic day that we celebrated. Gary Rogers, your boss's 70th birthday, and what a way to reward him with your first podium of the season.
Yeah, well, happy birthday, Gaz. It's pretty awesome. It's a big result for us. I mean, it's a relief as well. It's been a long time coming, but feeling awesome and so proud of all the guys at GRM and our supporters for always being there for us, because, I mean, it's been tough, but they're always stuck by us.
I can sense the relief on your face. A trophy from the girls at Dunlop. Well done. And Craig Lowndes, wow, what a battle at the end of that race. Fantastic way to finish the final, the race of the day. So much excitement there.
Yeah, I think I did a Steve Bradbury. I think I was just running around behind. Obviously, Gizzy was doing a great job to hold up Chaz, but of course, when you have altercations like that, you slow each other up. And I had a really good run out of turn 6. Went around the outside of 1, outside of 2, outside of 3 with Shane, and we had a great battle. Tried to give him enough room, but of course wanted to get to third in the positions, which thankfully he was good enough that, you know, look, they're the races that you want to win.
A popular win, as always, a trophy from the girls at Dunlop, and you get to do the next one from pole position. Congratulations, Craig Lowndes.
Well done, CL. Mark Winterbottom wins his 34th V8 Supercars Championship race. Now just 2 wins off Alan Moffat on the all-time list, and his 7th victory of the season. And some other great talking points there. Awesome for McLaughlin. Fabian Coulthard too, getting to 11th in the end.
Scotty McLaughlin, as we said at the very start of the race when I chatted to him on the line, just got great affinity with this place. 4th podium in 7 races for him here. Well done, Scotty.
Hey, Chaz Mostert, that was a tough old race. Obviously not able to get that start again, a little bit of work to do there, but it set up a pretty entertaining fight from where we were sitting. A few touches there with Shane Van Gisbergen. What's your play on all that?
Yeah, I mean, over the back there at the start, I thought I was clear of him, so I started to creep back out, but obviously not enough. You get a bit of a blind spot there, so I didn't quite see him, but yeah, I raced him pretty hard, and you know, he rubs and races, and I rub and race, and you know, he just come across on the straight after we had a little rub at the corner before. So there was overlap. I wasn't going to back out. I've done that before, and or I had it happen to me before. So it's the way it goes. So just race hard. We got 5th, I think, in the end. So good points. Not what you want to do when you start off pole. You really want to, you know, get out there, get a podium. But that's just the way it went.
So you enjoyed that. You got no issue with what happened, because I mean it was entertainment. Often we see people getting upset about some of the stuff, but it looked to us was just hard, firm racing, and you did what you had to do.
Yeah, it was hard firm racing. If I didn't lift off the straight, he would have probably been off in the boonies. So, I race hard. We can rubbins racing. That's what makes so good at these V8 Supercars races. We're not racing open wheelers. We're, you know, sometimes it's hard to get past without a bit of a nudge. So we just race hard.
Well, great attitude, mate. It was good to watch, and good luck for the next one.
Thanks very much.
Well said, Chaz Mostert. So Mark Winterbottom's advantage in the championship is now 259 points over Craig Lowndes. Let's get a bit more balance in this story. Back to Greg Murphy.
Yeah, Shane, hey, we just caught up with Chaz Mostert, and then, he was pretty excited about the battle you two had. A bit of touching, bit of biff and barge around there, but it was pretty clean. A little bit of stuff going on. You lost a spot there at the end of Craig Lowndes because of the action on the front straight.
Yeah, I just did all I could to hold him off and had no car left at the end. All my tyres were gone, but awesome race, plenty of action. These sprint races have been pretty average all year, so it was good to have a good one and battle up the sharp end.
Yeah, well, it was a great effort. I mean, you had your work against you with him. He obviously didn't get a very good start. You capitalised on that. You and Scotty capitalised, but it was a nice close race, and we enjoy watching that stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely good. And Craig was there the whole race, and I was trying to get him more involved because he was about my speed, but Chaz was so much faster. So spent the whole race trying to burn him behind. But yeah, Craig got me at the end. But yeah, good fun.
Got another 20 coming up. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, cheers.
We are too. Highlights of race 18 of the championship, the first of 3 here at Queensland Raceway. It was an action-packed start, and unfortunately for Jason Bright, there was a bit of a coming together. It looked like maybe Dale Wood and Todd Kelly came together. That may clear that issue up, and unfortunately, Jason Bright, the damage to car 8 took him out of the game.
They're going to be battling hard to turn that car around to get it ready for race number 19 this afternoon. That was a very enjoyable super sprint race. Coates Hire Ipswich SuperSprint this weekend. So next one we've got is on soft tyres. That's likely to be pretty lively as well. I thoroughly enjoyed this battle between Chaz Mostert and Shane Van Gisbergen. Good to see both of them not sulking and just getting on with it and enjoying the battle. There'll be a couple of things to look at out of that though, and I'm sure it'll still be looked at regardless. They'll just make sure that the racing was appropriate at all levels always. Look at all this stuff going on. So Chaz ended up nailing one of the marker signs off to the side of the road there. Andre Heimgartner, it was a pretty tough run for him after qualifying third, ended up down the order and ran off the road down here in the weeds. Reasonable recovery for the man that we just spotted a moment ago too, Fabian Coulthard. And here's the problem for Scotty Pye, hemorrhaging oil from the Western Star entry. He said before in that interview that it was likely an oil cool or perhaps an oil line. Ryan Story there just in the DJR Team Penske garage offering some support. This was a great little exchange at the end. And they chased each other across the road. And as I said, dirty side, dust, blokes having a big crack, 240 kilometres an hour there. And for Craig Lowndes, it was a parting of the seas. And he was able to just grab extra points. But no stopping this fellow, Mark Winterbottom. Brilliant performance, 75 points, extends his championship lead. And terrific to see Scott McLaughlin and Volvo getting some glory as well.
So confirmation of the championship points discussion we had a moment ago. The advantage, 259 now for Mark Winterbottom over Craig Lowndes. That's worth noting. Fabian Coulthard did recover to 11th place. He was 12 points behind Craig Lowndes heading into this race. It's now a gap of 40 between those guys. David Reynolds only a point shy of third on the ladder now. He is coming and continuing to keep that pressure on in the battle for the championship. Lots of fans happy. Hope you are too. Lots of great action still to come this afternoon.